and that is a co-founder and just cool person from the Daily Politicus, and that's our friend Sarah Jones. Good morning, Sarah, and welcome to the show.
Good morning, Richard, and to your wonderful audience. Here we are in chaos land.
Oh, Lord have mercy, we are. Sorry about that.
You guys are in it.
Yeah, I know, right? You coming to Chicago to hang out with us? I mean, come on in. We could use all the strong voices.
I would love to, and I would, just wait for the tankers to drive by, all the wasteful spending, and the inciting of violence by federal forces. Yeah, that sounds great.
Man, Sarah, you posted a really great article where you talk about that, and you talk about the, just the inappropriate use of using federal forces, federal troops as civilian police and law enforcement. You and Jason had a really great article about that, and you guys should check this out at their site. The title of the article is "Democracy Fights Back as Trump's use of troops as civilian police force has been ruled illegal." Let's talk a little bit about that article and then talk about that ruling.
Well, first of all, just to set the stage, it's really good to have that ruling, but do we have enforcement mechanisms with this president? There's so many different stages of and there's ways that he could, if he really cared about violence, like this, zoom out for a minute and look at all the cuts he made to gun violence prevention programs. And I believe he's rescinded $800 million in grants to local gun violence prevention and crime reduction programs that have been really effective in cities like DC and a lot of the other cities that he's targeting: Boston, Philadelphia, Baltimore, probably Detroit and Chicago. What I think people should be asking themselves right now isn't like, oh, this is wrong. Why is he doing this? It's inciting violence, which it is. All of those things are good points. But why is Donald Trump actually trying to make things worse in these cities? Why did he cut gun violence prevention programs? Why are these guns coming in, as your mayor pointed out, the mayor of Chicago pointed out in a press conference yesterday, all these guns coming in from red states? Why did he take so much money away on agents from the ATF and put them on deportation duty if he really cares about crime? He clearly actually is trying to create crime and make things worse. And I've seen some people say that this is because he wants to help the gun manufacturers, and I'm sure that there's some truth to that. But I think also, as your governor pointed out, he's trying to incite violence so that he can justify federalizing troops against American citizens.
Yeah.
Without all the pushback that he's been getting, right? Because so far people are like, no, what are you doing? This isn't cool. Even people who agree with Trump think that and who voted for him, a lot of them think this is inappropriate because there's no justification for it.
Well, I think the key, one of the keys certainly is there's no justification for it when you look at data, and the data says there's no justification for it. Take away your opinion, my opinion, and 1,000 other people's opinion that either write or talk about this. The numbers don't warrant this type of use of our resources. And I said this earlier in the show, Sarah. I was talking about this as it relates to the stupidity factor, and the one thing that we sometimes fade away from, and it is what happens, is the distraction factor. Okay, right now. So to zoom out a little bit, like you said, right now this conversation around troops coming into major cities that are have a large population of folks of color, sanctuary for LGBTQ and other folks who might be asylum seekers. It's an attack by this regime to go after those people. It's not about solving crime. It's not about making things safer for people. It's not about providing resources for people who are in peril to actually be in a better situation, i.e. an emergency, which is when you really would want to use a National Guard. Okay, so table set. We know that that's what their goal is. And to what Governor Pritzker said and Mayor Johnson has said, don't be throwing sandwiches. Don't take the bait. Stand down. Be cool. Okay. That table being set, Sarah, here's the other thing that we have just kind of slipped away from, because in some ways this strategy is working, and that is the distraction from the Epstein files. Because
right, and that, yes.
Right. Just think about that. This entire show, I've, in one way, talked about some of the distractions of the troops, whether it be regarding immigration or it be regarding federalizing the police forces in major cities. But at the same time, yesterday, we see the video of Nancy Mace walking out of the meeting on the Epstein files, apparently in her theatrical tears. I don't give her any grace because of the way in which she's treated women who have been victims of violence and abuse. She herself claims that she was, but if she really were, then we would think she's acting differently. I'm not calling that into question. I'm just saying I'm not giving her any grace until she acts differently. But we're not talking about this group of people who abused young girls, young women and girls. And that to me is that to talk about protecting and standing up for people and reducing violence. How about that? And so we've all gotten caught up in the distraction, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think you're so right. I keep saying this over and over again. All of this is a distraction. And then today at 10:30, Representatives Massey and Khanna are having a press conference with 10 of the Epstein victims. And that is a part of why this is happening, why he keeps amping up these threats to the cities. Oh, we're going to look over here, look over. This is what Trump always does. This is a reality TV show president. He knows how to direct attention away from what he doesn't want to talk about and to lob bombs over in other, far away from him and whatever he's hiding. He's also got the crypto scam that just got busted yet again. All of this deep corruption that he is engaging in and using this country to achieve while he robs people in this country, all of that is to hide his own corruption. And a big part of his corruption, whether he was guilty of anything in terms of the actual sexual abuse of these victims, or he is just friends with this person and somehow, for some reason, trying to hide this and giving, the only co-conspirator who was convicted a free ride. Whether that's all he's doing or he had money involved in this, it doesn't matter anymore. What is happening is he's using the highest office in the land to protect the perpetrators of this huge act of violence against women and girls. And we know from a lot of psychological reports that people who rape women usually often commit violence against women. And we know that many of these mass shooters have a crossover with violence against women, stalking women, rape.
Yep. So
to your point about if he actually cared about crime, he would be going after everyone in the Epstein files. He would be releasing the Epstein files and going after the people, and he wouldn't be giving Ghislaine Maxwell,
anytime. Now you got convicted by a jury of your peers. Sit your behind in jail. We got nothing for you. I'm going to go after this over here because this is where the real issue is. But that's not. And so this is again. I had to launch into this about it being a distraction because it has, along with the things that you just mentioned in terms of the crypto scam, all these things about his bad behavior and the behavior that's bad for the people that are around him. It's a distraction from all of that so that they can give the illusion And it is just that, an illusion of a presidency, of a regime that, or I'm sorry, an administration that's working well when in fact it's working like a regime that's doing nothing but that is designed to do nothing but to tear down the pillars of strength in our country. You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT AM 820 in Chicago, WARR 1520 AM and 103.5 FM from Warren County, North Carolina. I'm Richard Chu, and we are talking to Sarah Jones of Politicus USA and The Daily. Sarah, you were going to say something. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, no. You have to do your important work there. I now forgot what it was, except that you were just making all these connections about the corruption and the things that Trump is hiding. And then I wanted to add in, there's also his health. So he's what he's doing is a lot like what Putin does. He's acting a strongman by using terrorism and inciting violence and inciting poverty so that he can grab more power for himself. And another thing that he's hiding, much like Putin, is his poor health. Mm-hmm. And that he is not a strong man. He's trying to signal strong man. But as you were talking about, and to suggest that the administration is working, this is the most incompetent administration I have ever seen. And I don't say that because I don't like him. I don't say that. There's plenty of people. I didn't like George W. Bush. His administration wasn't incompetent.
No.
These people are so incompetent that daily I have to tell myself, just stay calm. Like, I can't control the fact that they don't know what they're doing and that bad things are happening. We have this realignment happening with Xi Jinping and Modi and Putin now. They're all working together.
Look at the EU. Look at this most recent situation with the EU, where they're like, you know what, and they keep marching and giving signals, or I should say, giving signals and marching toward. When you all, and I've said this before, Sarah, when you all figure this out, the United States of America, then maybe we'll get back together. And they're being fairly subtle about it, because obviously, if they were to do it in an overt way, it would probably, rattle some of the people in Washington. But I get your point that these other leaders are saying, we're going to we're hang with you, but we're not going to hang with you like we used to.
Yeah, and, when you see Donald Trump thinks he's a strong man, and he has told everyone, like, look, I'm friends with Putin. We're getting along with these people. Well, we're not getting along with Putin. He's over here interfering in our democracy and undermining it every single day, and trying to interfere in our elections. So, no, you're not getting along with. He's using you. He's manipulating the president of the United States, and now he is having this alignment of autocrats, of dictators, and they're working against the United States. And Trump doesn't seem to understand what he has done with his tariffs. Yeah. Just alone with his tariffs, what he has done. And that is a direct result of his great incompetence, and combined with his selfishness and his greed. So he's like a child, like an infant that a greedy, immoral infant that somebody has placed into the White House. That's what's going on. And it is really disturbing to me how many Republicans are fine with that. And even Democrats, they had to be pushed to object to this stuff. We're all supposed to act like this is normal.
Yeah.
I read something this morning. Oh, Richard, this really got me.
Uh-oh.
Some of the stuff we have to put up with. One of the media outlets was saying, there's this funding fight coming up. Republicans have a trifecta of power right now, but this won't, we wrote about how this was really going to look bad for Democrats if they don't get their messaging together. And I'm like, then the next sentence is like, but, it might look bad for Republicans if they can't pull this off, if they can't blame Democrats. And I was over here thinking, but does anybody ever ask y'all, like, why let's ask the question: why would they get away with blaming Democrats when Democrats don't have power right now?
Yeah.
Who would let them get away with that? Who would let that happen? Oh, it's you guys. You guys are the ones letting that happen. And what happens when you don't hold people accountable and they have no internal mechanism of morality or, loyalty to the way this country is supposed to be run? What happens then? Then they keep going and it gets worse and worse. Like what's happening?
Got to draw a line. Got to be willing. Got to be willing, Sarah, to draw the line. My answer in part to that question is that Democratic leaders have to be willing to do this. And, they shouldn't have had to be pushed by us to do the things that we are asking them to do, which is to fight every single day. But we've had to push them. So here we are. Now, I think that one of the messaging opportunities at the Dems, and I talked about this as it relates to Joni Ernst in Iowa. One of the things that the Democratic Party on a national level and on a state level, let's just say with this particular seat, Senate seat, need to be yelling from every corner about is how awful she's been as a senator. And here's by her vote, the people that have been hurt. And I said, Iowans, ask yourself this question. What things has she actually done to make your life better? And then to zoom out, like you said, then ask yourself on a statewide basis, on a national level, what is it that the GOP has done to make your life better? If they run your state legislature, your state hasn't gotten any better. And if you've got federal elected officials in the House and Senate, what have they actually brought to you? They haven't stood in the void to block Trump and the big, ugly, disgusting bill. So Iowans, whether you be Democrat, Republican, or in the middle, have to ask that question. What has this party done to actually make your life better? By contrast, Sarah, Donald Trump's family wealth since becoming president has doubled. It's been 100% increase.
At least, right?
By all measure. So by comparison,
yesterday it went up by $6 billion, right? Because of the crypto. It's astonishing.
So ask that question, Republicans, but Democrats force that conversation by making them ask that question. That's how I see it.
I would like to see the way that you put that. I would like to see the messaging from Democrats be very simple. Look at what Trump has done and how effective it is. He uses one sentence and he repeats it just constantly.
Yeah.
And, Democrats keep overestimating the ability for people to understand what's going on. One sentence. How has Joni Ernst improved your life? Is your life better? You keep talking about how things were great in the good old days. She's been your senator for how long? And how come nothing has changed? How come she hasn't changed all these stuff? And how did one of the things that I bring up to the Trump supporters that I speak with pretty regularly here, I always ask them, well, so how does taking medication away from trans kids help you?
Or hurt you, as it were.
Yeah. How is it helping your life? So that seems like a big, it's a very small percentage of people, right? So let's look at how your life has improved under this regime. What concrete things? Are groceries better? Are the gas prices better? What? Instead of talking about the culture war, let's talk about these financial pieces of your life.
Yep.
Because all that culture war stuff is just meant to, they keep trying to rage bait Democrats into getting into, and progressives and liberals into getting into these arguments. And I think that is such a waste of energy, and it really is yet another distraction. I care about all those rights for everyone, but arguing with those people and getting pulled into their stupid culture wars isn't going to protect anyone's rights. It's only going to undermine people because it just gives that more fuel. And we need to be focused on how to get power away from these people before they do any more damage.
Yeah, that's the top of the list way of approaching it. I agree with you, Sarah. make it simple. How is Joe, and this is a template for messaging across the country. How has your XYZ elected official, state senator, or a state house person, or your governor made your life better if you're in a red state or if you have representation that is a Republican? Tell me how. Well, I can tell you how it's made it worse. And that's, to me, that's a simple pivot. And I think that that's got to be part of the messaging. And in 2 months, you guys will hear this from me again, because I believe that the simplicity in the messages, because I say this often, Sarah, our ideas are better. But the simplicity of the messaging this time around has to be paramount. And asking,
a billboard, like you're saying, with here's what Joni Ernst got did for you, 000. Here's what Donald Trump got for himself. Meanwhile,
bingo.
$6 billion a day. Have a great day. There you go. You're paying how much for eggs? How much is your gas? And here's what he got for himself. Have a great day.
And how many eggs can he buy? How many egg farms can he buy with this newfound wealth? Because you guys would not stop and listen to logic and what makes sense, rather than, to your point, getting wrapped up in things that you said mattered, but they weren't really what you were voting for. And that's a lie that now has been made clear. I know we're wrapping up, and I probably shouldn't introduce this now, but I just have to say this real quickly. You've been great with your writing and your post, and all I can tell you is, Sarah, keep up the great work. It's been tremendous for so many people that I know now have said to me, "Wow, I didn't know about Sarah," and I'm so glad that I get to hear from her and people that are following your writing and what you're doing on Substack. So keep up the good work that you are doing with the Daily and Politicus USA. It's really, really having an impact, and it really does matter.
That is really wonderful to hear, and I can't tell you how important it is to hear those things, because this is not a good time. It takes a lot, and I really care about people. I really care about this country. So it is a costly thing to be living with Donald Trump all day long. Yeah.
Right
so
on.
Thank you so much for saying that. I certainly feel the same way about your show and all of the great work that you're doing. So I'm really honored to be on with you. And, I feel like you offer people such a place of hope to keep engaged, which is the most important thing you can do for people.
Right on. Sarah Jones, y'all, here on this Wednesday, not a Monday, but a Wednesday. But thank you, Sarah, for being with us.